Welcome to The Good, the Bad and the Odd One Out with your host, Mark. Today, I'm going to be talking about a set of films. One of the reasons I've done this podcast is to talk about films that are exceptionally good, bad or odd, that stand out to me, that only I've seen out of myself and Sam, that I would particularly want to talk about. But I'll also be using the opportunity to talk about series of films as well. I like to sort of indulge in a whole series sometimes, just watch them back to back and get into it. And that can be as little as 2 films, or it can be, you know, all the James Bonds or something like that. But today I wanted to talk about a set of films that we'll call the Death Races.
The year 2000. America is a vast speedway. People line the streets to witness the greatest drivers on earth in a race from sea to shining sea.
This is a death race.
You finish first, or not at all. Death Race 2000. Every car a deadly weapon. Every spectator a potential point. It's a cross-country road wreck, and the traffic is murder.
Who are you, anyway?
Best driver on earth.
I don't want you to die.
He was built by the world's finest surgeons to drive the fastest car ever designed, and nothing can stop him now. Death Race 2000, rated R.
Okay, this encompasses 3 films. There's Death Race 2000, made in 75, and then a kind of reworking, reboot, I don't know, reimagining, I don't know what you'd call it. It takes some of the elements and incorporates them into a film, but with an entirely different style. That's Death Race, and then finally a prequel to Death Race, which is called Death Race 2. Alright, Death Race 2000, made in 1975, Roger Corman film, produced, I can't remember the director, I think it was Paul Bartel. Essentially, kind of a dark comedy action film, which was all about a transcontinental race across America, where the contestants not only had to win the race, they got points for killing people, and, you know, more points for certain types, like nuns would be more points than an average person, and kids would be more points than adults and stuff like that, and they had free range to kill anyone. That was kind of fun. It was a fun, enjoyable, silly film. I caught it on, I think, Netflix, 75 minutes. I had 75 minutes to spare. I had a quick look and I saw it was a 75-minute film, so I went for it and thoroughly enjoyed it. The lead is David Carradine, playing a character called Frankenstein, who's meant to be scarred beyond recognition, but it turns out he's not really. And it also stars Sly Stallone, before he became famous, but really, really good in this as Machine Gun Joe. Really enjoyed it. It was silly. It was fun. There was, there was a subversive message in it. Basically, it was all based around the fact the economy had collapsed in America. Hey. And to entertain the masses, they laid on these death races. Rather enjoyed this, and I'd have to say out of the 3, it's the one I enjoyed the most. It was short, sweet, got on with it, and it was odd for sure, and some of the resolution was spot on. The resolution was spot on. Frankenstein became the hero of a rebellion through rather silly means, but it all worked out fine. The second movie I'll talk about is a reimagining of it. This starred Jason Statham, Joan Allen as the antagonist, who was like a prison warden. Right, this one was set in a prison where they privatised prison. Again, America had financial collapse, and to try and find and prisons became privatised, and to finance this, they laid on these events, pay-per-view events on the internet and it was a big race, and the whole prison was basically one big race built inside one big race track on an island off the coast with a single bridge connecting it. Jason Statham was the main protagonist. Joan Allen was like the she-bitch from hell warder that organised the races. Statham was there because he's supposed to have murdered his wife. In fact, someone in a hood came into his house while he was cooking, knocked him out, killed his wife. However, he did observe a strange bracelet being worn by the murderer, and when he got into the prison, he noticed that a lot of the prisoners were wearing these, so he knew that one of the prisoners had killed him. Basically, it turned out the warden had deliberately set him up, because he was known to be a great driver, because she wanted someone in the race. Now, the film starts with a race going on with Frankenstein, so that's probably the only other element from the original, which is, there's a race to the death. Race is involving death, and a character called Frankenstein. However, he's just before he crosses the finishing line of his race, which would be his 5th win, which would also mean he goes free. He gets blown up. He in fact dies. But what the warden suggests to Statham is, you pretend to be Frankenstein, you win the race, you've won 5 races, you'll go free. But what she really wants is she doesn't want Frankenstein to die because people love him and it keeps the ratings up. Statham agrees to all this because he'll be able to get free. And he's also got a daughter in the film, so there's a motivation for him to get out. They also have female co-pilots, co-drivers, partner drivers to help coordinate the race, because there's all sorts of things going on in the race. Like, it is one big track, but they can do things like drive over swords, which mean they arm their own weapons for a certain time. In the track, there's these big round things, swords, and there's also these big round things, shields, so they could turn their shields on. And it's cool stuff like that. And there's some really interesting stuff going on. It's a very grim film. There's not much humour in it. Ian McShane's in it as well, as like the head mechanic for Statham's team, or Frankenstein's team. Machine Gun Joe's a completely different kind of character. He's a black guy, and I can't remember the actor's name, but he's really good in it. I like this. It's a pure exploitation film, but it's good entertainment. And in fact, I've seen it twice. And the first time I didn't like it as much because I was expecting something a bit more jokey like the original. But now, having seen it once, I enjoy it better the second time. Good fun. Thoroughly enjoyed it, and I can recommend this. I give Death Race 2000 75 out of 100. For what it is, it's pretty good. This one I give 68 out of 100. It was a bit too grim in places, perhaps, but kind of enjoyable. I like some of the side characters. Kind of cool, Some reasonable dialogue. Paul W.S. Anderson made this, who a lot of people are not a big fan of, but I kind of like it. I like some of his other films. I like Soldier, for example, which I think I reviewed a few months back. And this was fine. It worked well for me. The Death Race 2, which is a prequel, not a sequel, you actually see another character who's like a driver, criminal driver, will drive getaway cars and stuff like that, get caught during mid-heist and get put in prison. But the boss that employed him in the first place trusts him implicitly, loves him like a brother, but can't believe that he won't talk because he's been given life. So puts a price on his head. So it's in prison. What happens during the prison? There's a prison break, and it's filmed by the media, beating up guards, beating up each other and all sorts. And it turns out this causes a huge spike in ratings, and they realise, hold on, this is a private prison. The company running it have a say over sentencing, believe it or not. Ving Rhames is like the big boss of that, and he's okay. And they realise if they televise death fights, and it's just fighting in an arena kind of thing, there's a big growing profits, growing ratings, which means profit, and so on and so forth. Anyway, they start doing this, and like various people involved. This woman who's a hellion of all sorts. She uses sex to get on at the drop of her hat. She's flirts. She's mean-hearted. She's an evil witch, basically. Worse than Karen Allen in the first one, who coordinates all that, comes up with all the ideas, all this. And eventually it turns out she starts thinking, well, this guy's a driver, maybe we should, and this guy's a driver, 2 of the guys in the arena are drivers, maybe we should do something with that. So, and also there's big machine shops in this prison, because one of the ways they make money is making military vehicles and military hardware and stuff like that. So there's good mechanic workshops in there, and they're selling stuff to the military as a way of financing the prison. So based on all this, they come up with this idea of a racing track and a death race, which is how it all starts. So the main protagonist, who's called Luke in this, played by Luke Goss, is driver, and he gets involved in the race, and it turns out he eventually gets into quite a bad accident, gets burnt up, and he becomes Frankenstein, who's mentioned in the original Death Race film. So it all kind of ties up. This film, it's good elements. Its support cast was pretty solid. In fact, the woman who played the Hell Witch was fantastic, and I was watching and thinking, oh man, I can't believe I haven't seen this woman in anything else. She's really good. Then I checked on IMDb, and it turns out she's in The Walking Dead as a character called Maggie. I don't know if you watched The Walking Dead, but if you do, it's Maggie who's hitched up with Glenn. She looks completely different. So I'm quite impressed that she can look so different and act so different and put on such a different persona. That woman is going to go places, I'd say. She was really good. She was really good in this. It was pantomime, but it was completely, she played it to the hill. No reservations at all. Good fun. Ving Rhames was Ving Rhames, he was okay. And there was a few other characters that I found really interesting. In fact, there was a couple of characters that were from the Statham Death Race film, that obviously prior to Statham arriving, they were in the prison. There was a Chinese guy who was a racer called 14K who was also in this, and a fighter triad guy. And another guy called Lists, who was one of the mechanics, who was like slightly autistic or something. He remembered loads of information about things. But he was also a mechanic stroke engineer. What was bad was Luke, the central performance of Luke. I think it was Luke Goss, who used to be a singer, who's been in other things, so not bad. I think he was in Blade 2, and he wasn't bad in that. He wasn't great in this. He looked the part, but he just didn't have the presence, and it kind of, everyone had to add. He was okay as an actor, he just didn't have presence. It wasn't bad acting, it was lack of presence, which Statham's going back, van loads. So that kind of let it down. It was kind of nice how they were tying it all up together, and you could sort of see, okay, well, Death Race 2, you could easily watch before Death Race 1, and it kind of worked. And it was okay, but like I say, it wasn't as good as the first one. But it was okay. I think this was a direct-to-video one, and it was really good for that. Really good. These are, I have to say, all of these films are proper grindhouse movies, and you have to watch them on that basis. They're not big budget Hollywood things, they're grindhouse. Lot of fun to watch, lot of good. It looked like practical stunt work rather than CGI going on. And if it was CGI, very, very impressive CGI, but it looked real to me. It looked real for sure. I like this set of films. Rate the last one though, I'd give that one 61 out of 100. So not, they're in descending order. I prefer the Death Race 2000 original more than these two, but then it's Death Race, then Death Race 2. But I enjoyed all of them. They were kind of fun to watch. And I understand there's another one coming out at some point in the near future. I presume a direct-to-video. And I'll probably catch that once it's out too. Hello, I'm taking a little addenda to this one because I've actually, prior to cutting this, editing this up, I actually got around to watching the next film in the franchise, which is called Death Race Inferno. So I thought I'm taking on the extra stuff here to complete the set. Yeah, I watched this. It's only just come out. It's a different. There's much the same cast in Death Race Inferno as in the Danny Trejo, Luke Goss, Ving Rhames is in it again. It also's got an appearance by Grace Scott. This time, he's the new antagonist in this, who bought out Ving Rhames and who wants to make the Death Race the most popular sport on the planet. Right, okay, so hostile takeover. Ving Rhames is sort of ousted, and Grace Scott, who seems to be channeling Gerard Butler in this, comes in and decides he wants to revamp it and extend the race, and moves it effectively to become something like the Paris-Dakar Rally. It's a big cross-country race across Africa, so it's starting to become a bit like the original Death Race 2000, cross-country rather than on a restricted track in a prison. However, there are similar elements. There's no defensive mechanisms this time. They have to activate weapons by driving through like these two. They're almost like rugby posts. They're big swords. They drive through and it activates their weapons. Kind of fun, this one. It wasn't. It was a step down again, slightly down. Luke Goss actually was a little better in this than I thought he was in the second one. Yeah, he was alright. Again, playing Frankenstein. However, in this one, it's been kind of double crossed. This one falls between 2 was a prequel to 1, and this falls between 2 and 1. So the actual real, in timelines, the real order is number 2, number 3, number 1. And 3 is presented as like a double cross by the guy taking over. You can forget your 5 races, you still have to compete in this one. And there's a few new characters back, as well as Luke Goss. There's 14K, Danny Trejo, the guy that plays Lists, I can't remember his name. I couldn't quite tell if the female navigator character's in it, but I couldn't tell if it's the same one. She looked slightly different. It was fun. It was obviously a direct-to-video. There was some cool stunt work. The ideas were kind of cool in that they're going through Africa, but it's in open areas, so they're actually driving through real townships at points. And at one point, some guy crashes, and the townspeople who don't want the race through the town actually come out and attack him, which is kind of an interesting idea. And there's also things like if they get separated from their car, they'll be killed. And one gets separated from a car, runs into a township. But they've got some sort of tracking device on him, so they send a rocket out. So there's rockets chasing him through this township. It's kind of funny in a twisted grindhouse kind of way. It was alright. I wouldn't rate it as high. These are definitely a diminishing returns thing. The third one isn't quite as good as the second one, but there's some interesting things. If you're a grindhouse kind of guy or gal, you'll probably enjoy this. And I recommend it's a watch, not a buy, but a watch. Definitely one to complete the set if you've seen the first 2. The first one of this set, the Jason Statham one, Death Race, is by far the best of the 3. But they're all worth a look, I think. Okay then, bye.